can't believe this. She's late again. Where is that blasted girl?
Give her a break, Smithy.
About damn time.
There's been a new development.
I heard about the Monte Carlo incident. Was it harm?
Indeed, they've just issued their demands.
What you know is that at precisely 1700 hours Greenwich Mean Time on September 19th, 1967, an explosion destroyed Club Metropole in Monte Carlo, Monaco, killing 47 people and injuring more than 100. What you do not know is that the source of the blast was not a mechanical device, but rather a man, Commissioner Maurice Albert. Because you are at least somewhat familiar with the research of Dr. Otto Schenker, you are therefore capable of comprehending both the plausibility of this claim as well as its implications. As we have demonstrated, our organization, Harm, possesses the recipe for a biological weapon of such insidious potential and singular destructive power that no one on the planet is safe. Unless our demands are met.
This is outlandish.
By now, I'm sure you have received the itemized list of our requirements. You have exactly 1 week to fulfill these requirements. If our demands are not met, we will be forced to discipline you. Already, we have infected prominent individuals in 36 major metropolitan areas around the world. The first of our unsuspecting victims will detonate at exactly 0600 hours on September 26th. The estimated death toll is 1 million people!
They're mad!
The remaining victims will detonate at 6-hour intervals thereafter. Once our terms have been met, we will deliver a list of infected persons as well as a quantity of antidote sufficient to curtail this catastrophe. However, because the deadline we have imposed is dictated by the chemical fuse inherent in the reagent itself, the sooner you comply with our wishes, the more time you will have available in which to administer the antidote. I assure you that you do not possess the medical means necessary to diagnose the infection, nor the technical means necessary to diffuse it. Therefore, it would be in your best interest not to squander valuable time on such useless endeavors. Furthermore, any attempts by your secret service organizations to interfere with Harm shall be severely punished. That is all.
A puppet?
Don't be fooled by the messenger. This situation is extremely grave.
They certainly expect us to swallow a lot of maybes. Maybe they're telling the truth about Monte Carlo. Maybe the consequences would be as dire as they predict. Maybe there's an antidote. Maybe they'll fulfill their end of the bargain.
I tend to agree with you, Agent Archer. But for the time being, I suggest we take them at their word.
The word of a puppet?
What are their demands?
Mr. Smith?
£50 million sterling, the continent of Australia, and an internationally recognized holiday to be known as Praise Be to Harm Day.
I don't see the point.
Presumably it is to praise harm.
Not in the holiday. In their demands. It's obvious we aren't capable of fulfilling them. Harm must want us to forfeit.
Nonsense. They may be madmen, but we have to presume they aren't completely irrational. And why even issue demands if their sole purpose were to cause destruction and chaos?
Perhaps they expect a partial capitulation. That way they can get what they really want, the £50 million sterling. But they can also justify punishing us when we come up short on their other demands. It's obvious from the way they go on about their secret weapon that they're just itching to use it again.
You hardly have the experience necessary to support such speculations.
Archer may be onto something. In any case, Harm's motives are irrelevant. Our goal is to stop them, completely. No capitulation, no compromise.
What about their warning?
Once again, we must take them at their word. It is therefore imperative that we act swiftly and decisively. Our objectives are clear. We must obtain the list of infected individuals. We must get our hands on the antidote, and we must recover Dr. Schenker.
And Volkov?
He's only a threat if he knows what we're up to. If our theories are correct about Agent Lowry, Volkov shouldn't be much of a concern.
What if your theories aren't correct?
Then may God help us all.
I hope we can come up with a better plan than that. What about the information we got off the ship?
Well, the containers you photographed weren't accounted for on the shipping manifest, which comes as little surprise. However, much of the cargo aboard the freighter was on its way to a chemical plant in southern England.
Not much to go on.
Be that as it may, it's better than sitting on our hands waiting to find out if Archer's correct about Harm's intentions.
And the captain's log?
Useless.
Shite.
Tell us about this chemical plant.
It's owned by Dumas Industrial Enterprises.
Dumas? As in Baron Archibald Dumas?
What do you know about him?
Only what I've read in the papers. Apparently, he's a reclusive chap who spends much of his time hunting big game in Africa and Southeast Asia. No one knows much about him except that he inherited the company from his father about 10 years ago.
We're counting on you to discover whether or not he's connected to Harm.
And if he is?
First things first. For now, try to get an audience with the man. Size him up. We need to know what sort of fellow we're dealing with.
Your best bet is to see if you can catch him at the chemical plant. There's also a corporate office up north, but apparently he doesn't spend much time there.
Whatever you do, don't jeopardize your cover. It's imperative that we take Harm by surprise.
Understood.
I have a hunch we're getting close. If this lead pays off, we'll be one important step closer to victory.
Good morning. How may I help you?
We've an appointment with Baron Dumas.
I'm sorry, but are you sure it was today? The Baron usually reserves Mondays for golf. Tuesdays and Thursdays are for skeet shooting, Wednesdays for fishing, and Friday afternoons for backgammon.
Sounds like a busy schedule. How does he find time for appointments?
His lordship reserves Friday mornings between 11 and 11:15 a.m. for business matters.
Well, I'm positive today was the day.
Could you take another look at the appointment book?
I suppose, but I can't see that it will do any good. The Baron's routine is quite established. Would you excuse me for a moment?
That should keep her busy for about 10 minutes, poor lass.
All right, wait here just in case. I'll find the Baron's office and see if I can dig up some incriminating evidence.
I've got a better idea. You wait here and I'll snoop around.
No way, Sugar Pie. Remember what happened last time?
Heads or tails?
Tails.
Heads. You lose. Sugar Pie.
2 out of 3?
Don't be a sore loser.
Fine, but stay sharp. If you're seen, the mission's blown. If the Baron figures out you were in his office, the mission's blown. If you hurt anybody...
The mission's blown, I know.
Just remember what I said. Any luck?
Plenty. Do you trust me now?
Nope.
Now then, let's see if, we can't sort this confusion out, shall we?
That's all right. Perhaps we can reschedule at a more convenient time.
Certainly. How about Friday at 11 a.m.?
Perfect. See you then. I want to take a look around in there.
Good idea, but it's my turn.
Heads or tails?
You got to go last time.
Heads or tails?
I'm going, you're staying. No arguments, no coin toss.
Don't be such a Jessie. Heads or tails?
Heads.
Tails. You lose. Again.
I'm in charge here. I give the orders, you take the orders.
Well, now that we've decided who's going in, what are your orders, sir?
All right, I'll help you get inside, but you'd better be careful. If anyone sees you, liquidate him before we can set off an alarm. And stay clear of security cameras.
Don't worry.
Photograph anything that looks suspicious and collect as much intelligence as you can. Files, correspondence, dossiers, anything.
Aye, aye, sir. Excellent orders, sir. I look forward to following them.
Give me a few seconds head start.
Hello, what have we here? Sergeant Magnus Armstrong. Well, well. It was Armstrong, all right. I'm sure of it.
Excellent work, Archer.
What do you want us to do now?
Try to interview the Baron at his estate. We need to know if he's involved.
You think it might be someone within the organization?
I'm hoping that you and Goodman can answer that question.
Aye, sir. We'll do our best. Let's go.
Tails.
Heads.
Damn it!
Ah, don't pout. Your eyes get all small and piggy when you're sulking.
How are you planning on getting in there anyway?
I'll charm my way in.
Well, I hope you brought some secret charm powder or something, otherwise you're in big trouble.
I've got better weapons in mind.
Like what?
You've been staring at them all afternoon.
Huh?
Yes?
Good afternoon. My name is Mia Haig. I'm from Men of Influence magazine.
Men of Influence? What on earth are you doing here?
This is the residence of Baron Archibald Dumas, is it not?
Yes?
Baron Dumas certainly seems to qualify as a man of influence, wouldn't you say?
I suppose it would depend on how you choose to define influence.
He is the president of Dumas Industrial Enterprises.
Ah.
He's wealthy.
True.
He's well respected. He's dashing. He's debonair.
Listen, this is all very educational, but what exactly do you want?
I'd like to interview the Baron about the future of Dumas Industrial Enterprises. Our readers love stories about savvy businessmen conquering corporate challenges in our modern age.
Ah, yes. Sadly, the Baron does not disclose information regarding his business to anyone, even attractive young females such as yourself. So sorry.
I was hoping to profile Baron Dumas for our Perfect Lives series. Each month we cover a different person whose lifestyle and disposition exemplify perfect living.
And you wish to include his lordship in this series?
Yes, the idea is to penetrate the myth and get to know the man. His pastimes, his ambitions, his accomplishments, the things that make him tick.
I see.
He's a model aristocrat.
Ah.
Someone our readers can look up to.
Of course. Will you excuse me for a moment, Miss Haig? I don't think I could forgive myself if I were to let this sublime opportunity pass by. I will discuss your request with his lordship and return presently with his answer.
Thank you.
Please, wait here. I shan't be a moment. Very well. His lordship has agreed to see you.
Excellent.
This should be amusing.
What do you mean?
Nothing. Follow me, please. Miss Haig, sir.
Splendid. Show her in.
I'll leave you to your interview, darling. I'll be shopping for the rest of the afternoon.
Yes, yes. Have a marvelous time, Chipmunk.
Don't call me that.
As you wish, my love. Pip-pip.
He's rather larger than I expected.
Ah, yes. He's a big bundle of charisma and intelligence. If you're lucky, perhaps he'll regale you with his rousing safari adventures.
Good day, Baron Dumas.
Goodness, had I known you would be so sumptuous, I might have preened. Care for a drink?
No, thank you. It's a little early for me.
Well, I'll indulge for us both in that case. I hope you'll pardon me for saying so, but you're a ravishing girl. Simply ravishing.
That's very kind of you. I'm sure your wife feels absolutely spoiled by your abundant charm.
Oh, she's a lucky old crow, I'll grant you that. Now then, Giles tells me you want to profile me for this magazine of yours. Men of Influence, was it?
Yes. Each issue we cover a different person in our Perfect Lives series. Someone whose lifestyle and achievements serve as inspiration for our readers.
Jolly good. You've come to the right place. That will be all, Giles.
Actually, sir, I thought it might be worthwhile for me to stay, in case the young lady should desire anything at all.
Splendid idea. Pip, pip.
Yes, sir. I'll be right over here if you require anything, Miss Haig.
Thank you. Baron Dumont, do you mind if I record our interview? I'd rather devote my attention to you than to my notepad.
And who could blame you? Record away, my dear. So then, where shall we begin?
What's it like being such a prestigious big game hunter?
Well, it's difficult to explain to someone who's never experienced the thrill of the hunt, you see. When it's you and your trusty blunderbuss all alone against a ferocious beast, you discover exactly what sort of stuff you're made of.
Sounds ghastly.
Oh, it takes a special breed of male, I'll grant you that. The merest hesitation could cost you a leg.
Many men with such immense wealth succumb to sloth or immoderation. How do you keep yourself productive and effectual in the face of such constant temptation?
Excuse me.
Ah, an ingenious question. Well, you see, a man has certain choices he can make. Some choices are wise ones, and some are not. So I suppose you could say that making wise choices is an important step in one's tireless quest for wisdom.
I'm sure a man of your education is as broadly read as he is charming. What works of literature have you found most influential?
Ah, yes, literature. One of my favorite subjects. I've always said that to read is to experience the literary wisdom of wise men.
Very well said. And who are some of your favorite authors? Hemingway, Melville, Dostoevsky?
Precisely. Good guess. Shall we proceed to the next question?
What's the most dangerous animal you ever faced?
I once squared off against a silverback gorilla.
A silverback gorilla?
Yes, a huge, ferocious, man-eating beast.
Man-eating?
Quite so.
But I was under the impression that gorillas were herbivores and very gentle and less threatened.
Well, that's true of some gorillas, but this was one of the dreaded man-eating gorillas of Pakistan.
I wasn't aware there were gorillas in Pakistan.
Well, that's because few lived to tell of them, you see.
Well, it's fortunate that you did.
Agreed. Silverbacks are by far the most dangerous animals to hunt.
I was under the impression that that distinction went to Cape buffalo.
Nonsense. Cape buffalo are just glorified cows.
Is there anything that can strike fear into the heart of such a stalwart hunter as yourself?
Frankly, no.
Really? Nothing at all?
Not that I can think of.
Not even centipedes?
Oh, dreadful things. Yes, I suppose, perhaps centipedes.
Personally, I'm terrified of rats.
God, yes. Those beady, evil little eyes and sharp little vermin teeth. Horrible animals, especially in a mob.
And spiders.
Oh, don't even mention them.
How did you become so courageous?
Oh, just something one's born with, I suppose.
I imagine you've traveled to many exotic locales across the globe in your many daring adventures. Is there any place you favor above all others for hunting?
Ah, most certainly.
Let me guess. Kenya.
Oh, goodness, no. I don't speak a word of Chinese.
But Kenya's in Africa.
Oh, I thought you were referring to the one in China.
All right, then. How about Bengal?
Cold weather doesn't agree with me.
Rhodesia?
Heavens.
Madagascar?
Not on your life.
Where then?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I'm quite fond of Bristol.
Partridge?
Pandas. Giant pandas.
Bristol, England?
Yes, indeed.
I wasn't aware of any giant pandas in Bristol.
Well, they're important.
I see. Was that a gazelle trophy in the foyer?
Ah, yes. Beautiful creature, isn't it?
I'm sure it was lovely when it was alive. Aren't they quite fast?
Indeed.
You must be quite a marksman.
True, although I was rather close in this particular instance.
How close?
5 yards, I should think.
I'm impressed. Stalking a gazelle within 5 yards?
I didn't really stalk it, per se.
How did you get that close?
Well, it was in a pen, you see.
Pardon?
Some years ago, it occurred to me that all that traipsing about in the wilderness is a dreadful waste of time. I concluded that since what I really want is a handsome trophy to hang on my wall, why not simply put the beast in a pen out in the yard and shoot it there? Save myself the bother of tracking it all over creation.
Why not just buy trophies, then?
Some men might be satisfied with that sort of compromise, but I only display animals I've collected myself. There's no honor in buying a trophy now, is there?
How efficient. Is there a message you'd like to share with your many admirers?
Good hunting, my humble devotees.
Well, that's all the questions I prepared. I must confess, I'm positive this will be our most popular Perfect Lives installment yet.
Oh, you think so?
Absolutely. Rarely does nature combine so many excellent qualities in one man. Our readers will be fascinated and maybe even a bit envious.
One can hardly blame them.
What I don't understand is where such a busy man finds the time to be a successful business tycoon, loving husband, daring hunter, astute philosopher, cultivated humorist, etc. Aren't you overwhelmed?
Well, one learns to delegate. For example, although you wouldn't guess it, I'm only peripherally involved with e.a.r. Enterprises these days. Strictly in an advisory capacity, you see, to keep the company on track.
How ingenious.
Oh, well, I have my moments.
But isn't it an awful risk to hand over operations to someone less accomplished in the subtleties of enterprise than yourself?
Actually, it's safer that way.
Really?
Yes, you see, in my experience, the less one knows about running a business, the less he can screw up. I make all the important decisions. The rest is just, paperwork.
Still, you wouldn't want your competitors getting their hands on that paperwork.
Oh, quite true. But we have a very large safe in which to store it.
Safes can be cracked.
No, not this one. Even if someone could get inside, he'd still have to get past the security system.
Sounds daunting.
Oh, it is. There are invisible beams.
Infrared?
Exactly. If you touch one of them, the doors lock and poison gas is released into the safe.
How terrible.
Oh, I'd like to meet the burglar who could get in there.
It would take a lunatic even to attempt it.
Or a fool.
Thank you for your time, Baron Dumont. It's been an eye-opening experience.
I'm happy to oblige. Never turn your back on a worthy cause, I always say.
A worthy meal is more like it.
Is it possible he was putting on an act?
I don't think so, sir. I'm fairly confident the man is an imbecile.
I heard the tape and I got to agree.
Still, it's clear that e.a.r. Industrial Enterprises is somehow linked to harm.
Well, didn't the Baron say that he wasn't really running the show anyway? Who's the vice president of the company?
According to our research, his name is Damascus Valentine.
D.V.
What?
His initials, Damascus Valentine, Dmitry Volkov. Coincidence?
Seems rather tenuous.
But nonetheless intriguing. In any case, we need to know what's in the safe the Baron mentioned to you. It won't be easy, naturally, but it could be the key to this investigation.
I'm looking forward to the challenge, sir.
That's the spirit. Mr. Smith, what did intelligence find out about the building?
It's a veritable fortress. Not only is there a suspiciously large and well-trained security staff, but they've also invested heavily in high-tech surveillance equipment, cameras, infrared alarm systems, the works.
They must really have something to hide.
Our thoughts exactly.
So what's the plan? Who is going inside?
You are.
What? Why her? It's way too dangerous for a woman.
Oh, don't start with that again.
Before joining Unity, Agent Archer was something of an expert in, covert infiltration, one might say.
Breaking and entering, others might say.
Whatever the case, this assignment calls for stealth and subtlety.
Yeah, I know. Subtlety isn't my specialty. I still think it's too dangerous for her to go in alone.
Which is why you'll be providing a distraction for her downstairs.
I like the sound of that.
How do I get inside?
Attempting entry on the ground floor would be suicide, even for an expert like Miss Archer. The only way in is through the roof access.
What did you have in mind? Am I going to have to parachute in?
Too imprecise. Fortunately, there's an alternative. Dumas Enterprises is erecting a second skyscraper right next to its corporate headquarters. Our surveillance photos suggest that if you can get to the top of the new building, you can use a crane to cross over to the roof of the old one.
The surveillance photos suggest that this is possible?
It will be close. You'll have a zip cord to cut the difference.
I see.
Once you're inside the building, you'll need to locate the president's office and find the safe. Photograph anything remotely suspicious.
We don't want to tip our hand, so leave everything as you found it. The less they know about our mission, the better. Now then, time is of the essence.
Yes, sir.
I'm bored. I never have any fun. Neither do I.
Give me a signal when you're in position. I'll stir things up down here. The diversion should make it easier for you to get inside unnoticed.
What kind of signal?
I don't know, something that'll get my attention.
Right. Take care of yourself.
Don't worry about me. Just get to that safe as fast as you can. We'll figure out what you're up to. You're as good as dead.
Let's get out of here. What's wrong? Volkov.
Once again, I find myself aiming a pistol at someone you care about. Drop your gun.
How do I know you won't shoot him?
You don't. But you can be sure that I will shoot him. Unless you do as I say.
Don't listen to him, Archer.
I realize you are American, and therefore feel entitled to speak your mind whenever you please. But you are also at gunpoint, and very likely to be shot if you don't shut up!
Go to hell.
What did you say?
Nothing.
I heard you. Tell me what you said.
I thought you wanted me to shut up. Now you want me to talk? Make up your damn mind.
You are testing my patience. Miss Archer, I suggest you drop your weapon before your obnoxious American friend forces me to silence him, once and for all.
Don't do it. Get out of here now.
Tom!
Go. Go.
After her. I hope you are pleased.
Go.
Tom!
Get out of here now.
Agent Kate Archer, please report to the war room. Thank you.
Agent Goodman's death is a terrible blow, no question about it. But although this mission was costly, it may well prove to have been worth the price.
I wish I could believe that.
You mustn't lose sight of our objectives. The sacrifice of any or all of us is a small price to pay to preserve the lives we will save if we are successful. Tom knew the risks. So did Bruno. So do you.
Knowing the risks doesn't really prepare you for losing a partner. It certainly doesn't prepare you for losing two.
Nothing can prepare you. The loss of an operative is never expected and is always tragic. But as horrible as it sounds, it's also inevitable. It's a dangerous job.
Perhaps Mr. Smith is right. Perhaps I'm not up to the task.
Rubbish. You've performed remarkably well under extraordinarily difficult circumstances. I confess I was somewhat skeptical at first, but that was before I grasped the magnitude of the situation. In my entire tenure as a field operative, I never once faced a crisis this formidable, and certainly can't say I would have done so with the aplomb and competence you've demonstrated thus far.
I didn't realize you were a field operative.
Indeed, for 14 years. After the war, I found I was having a hard time adjusting to civilian life. Fortunately, an old acquaintance of mine was recruiting for Unity and happened to ring me one afternoon. I've never looked back. Sort of difficult to imagine, isn't it?
Not at all.
You flatter me. Anyhow, let's have no more self-pity. What do you say?
Yes, sir. So before you served on the committee, you and Bruno were colleagues.
And friends.
Did you ever work together on an assignment?
Frequently. We lost track of how many times we'd saved each other's lives.
And you still believe he was capable of treason?
In my heart, no. Intellectually, I don't quite know what to believe. No question about it. He was always a steadfast, resourceful fellow. But the history books are full of patriots turned traitors. There's no telling what a man is capable of, given the appropriate temptations.
I know what I believe.
I admire your conviction, and I pray you're right. Ah, Mr. Smith, I hope you have some good news.
Good news would be that we hadn't lost another valuable agent on this mission.
What news do we have?
Well, our analysis of Agent Archer's photographs is complete.
And?
We have a possible lead on Dr. Schenker's whereabouts.
I think we can classify that as good news.
As I said, it's all relative. This harm situation isn't the only crisis in the world, and we're fast running out of competent field agents.
Then suppose you get to the point and tell us what we know about Dr. Schenker so we can go fetch him.
It's somewhat speculative at this point, but it's possible that harm is keeping him at a secret underground research facility in North America. We don't know the exact location of this facility, but thanks to the files Archer photographed, we know it exists, apparently in the vicinity of a lumberyard in western Washington state. It seems the site is being supplied by an American Railways passenger train. Records and research has dug up evidence of various trains making unscheduled stops in the area over the past 3 weeks.
At regular intervals?
Indeed, probably to drop off supplies and personnel. We're certain that at least one American Railways engineer is on the harm payroll, although several individuals may be involved. We're looking into it.
What's my assignment?
Phase 1 will be to apprehend the engineer or engineers in question so that we can interrogate them. Once you're aboard the train...
How exactly am I to get aboard?
We'll smuggle you into the galley car.
Lovely.
Anyhow, once you're aboard, you will meet with a contact who will tell you precisely whom you'll need to detain. It is safe to presume that other harm personnel will be aboard the train, so subtlety is advisable. Needless to say, seizing the conspirators will prevent the train from making its stop, so you'll have to be sure to detrain at the appropriate time.
Well, after falling out of an airplane, I suppose jumping off a moving train can't be that bad.
That won't be necessary. Once your objectives are complete, you must head for the caboose and detach it when you're near the lumberyard. We'll have an agent in place to switch the track and reroute you to an unused depot behind the lumberyard. This area is not likely to be heavily guarded, so you shouldn't have much difficulty getting through. If all goes according to plan, you will rendezvous with another undercover agent who will, we hope, have information that should help you locate the underground base.
Then I grab Dr. Schenker and get the hell out.
Precisely. We'll have a helicopter nearby awaiting your signal. Your flight departs in 1 hour, so if you need to stop by the toy shop, now's the time.
Understood. Thank you for putting things in perspective for me, sir. I promise you I will do everything in my power to destroy harm.
Archer?
Sir?
Don't let anger cloud your judgment. Revenge is an understandable impulse, but it is also a contemptible one. Our job is not to avenge, but to protect.
I can't just shut off my feelings like a tap.
No, but you can bridle them and use them to fuel your resolve. Destroy harm, but do it to save innocent lives, not to retaliate for those already lost. The moment you give in to wrath, you become as reprehensible as the monsters we're hunting. Clearly, we are all called upon to take lives from time to time, but we must neither relish it nor agonize over it. It is a duty, plain and simple. Not a pleasant one, but often a necessary one.
I'll do my best, sir.
I have absolute confidence that you will.
There was one more thing, although I'm not sure how important it is. According to one of the documents Archer photographed, it seems the Baron's wife changed her surname some time ago.
Really? So her maiden name isn't McLean?
It's Farnsworth.
Felicity Farnsworth? Are you quite sure?
Positive. Do you know of her?
Aye, that I do. When she was 8 years old, her father, a wealthy banker, was involved in a nasty public scandal involving unmentionable acts with a 12-year-old boy.
How dreadful.
Mr. Farnsworth committed suicide shortly thereafter. Felicity and her mother, by all accounts a vapid socialite, were ruthlessly ostracized by their peers. Guilt by association, presumably. Furthermore, rather than inheriting the fortune she expected, Mrs. Farnsworth discovered that her late husband had left the family in inescapable debt. She went quite mad. Several days after being institutionalized, she hung herself.
My word, that poor child.
Felicity fell into the custody of an elderly aunt whose lifestyle was apparently rather more severe than she was accustomed to. About a year later, the aunt took a fatal tumble down the stairs.
Foul play?
No mention was ever made.
What happened to the girl?
She ended up with a foster family where she remained until she was 14. One night she went out her bedroom window and was never seen again. Or at least no one recognized her.
Astonishing.
Where did you learn so much about her?
I studied her.
Come again?
I believe I first read about her in a gossip column. I was intrigued by the similarities in our background, so I dug deeper.
What similarities?
Well, we both came from wealthy families. We were both orphaned at a relatively early age. Our fathers both killed themselves, although for very different reasons. We were both plunged into undesirable circumstances and resorted to rather desperate measures to survive. I found it quite uncanny at the time, although in retrospect I think we had less in common than I once believed.
Adversity is the truest test of character. The strong are strengthened by it, the weak made weaker. It sounds like this Baroness didn't have the wherewithal to cope with her misfortunes. It's a common trend among terrorists and bullies that they imagine themselves persecuted by fate and therefore feel justified in harming others.
You're frothing.
Sorry, I get carried away.
She's involved somehow.
The Baroness? Upon what unimpeachable evidence are you basing that supposition?
I just have a feeling.
Ah, then the case is as good as closed.
I don't expect you to believe me, but I'll count on you to say something smug if I'm right.
It's virtually guaranteed.
I'm not smug. Acerbic, perhaps, maybe even sardonic, but not smug.
Okay, sure. Whatever you need to tell yourself.
I have to agree with her, Smith.
Don't either of you have work to do?
Aye, sir. Off I go.
Good luck.
Have you seen anything suspicious?
Like what?
There's a spy aboard this train.
Are you sure?
I am.
How do you know?
I have my sources.
That doesn't really answer my question.
Let's just say I heard it from a little birdie that someone's been poking around, nosing for information about our obliging engineer friend.
Oh.
We don't want that information falling into the wrong hands, do we?
Well, I haven't seen any spies.
If you do, let me know. We don't tolerate spies.
I'll keep an eye out.
See that you do.
Moron.
Is it just you, or is it hot in here?
Either way, I think you need a cold shower.
What kind of halfwit comes up with these code phrases anyway?
I know what you mean. What do you have for me?
Looks like the assistant engineer has been acting alone. Crew compartments are all the way at the front of the train. You should be able to find him there, since his shift doesn't start for another half hour.
Perfect.
Who are you? No, please, don't hurt me!
That should keep you out of trouble for a spell.
Is that a caboose?
Yup.
What do you think it's doing out here?
Not sure.
Should we report it?
Probably.
Maybe we should check it out first.
Okay.
Stay alert. There's been some trouble upstairs.
What kind of trouble?
Spy trouble.
How do you know?
That's just what they told me.
I'd like to see a spy try to get in here.
Well, make sure you're ready just in case one does.
Mein Gott in Himmel! You're alive?
More or less.
But I saw you fall out of the plane without a parachute.
Oh, that. Well, someone loaned me one on the way down. Very generous of them. Anyway, I thought I'd drop by and see if you'd like to get out of here.
I would indeed. If I had known I'd end up in a place like this, I never would have left Berlin. But I suppose that was part of the plan.
What do you mean?
It seems we have been carefully manipulated by harm all along. My decision to defect and your organization's decision to aid me were part of an intricate scheme. I have overheard my captors discussing the matter. Harm wanted my research, but they didn't want to draw attention to themselves in order to get it.
So they let us do the dirty work.
Precisely. I was approached by one of their agents, who filled my head with tantalizing stories of the West and the freedom I would find there should I defect. He took care of the arrangements, knowing full well that I would end up here.
Ingenious. Their only mistake was to underestimate us.
This morning at exactly 9:02 a.m., there was an explosion of unknown origin in the town of Shilling, England.
That's where the Baroness grew up.
Well, case closed. Arrest her immediately.
Scoff all you please.
The source of this blast was a banker by the name of Lester Cheems. Casualties are estimated at over 1,300 innocent people. Their blood is on the hands of the agency responsible for kidnapping Dr. Otto Schenker from us. Until he is returned to the facility from which he was abducted, we shall continue to mete out similar punishments every 48 hours. That is all.
Those figures are correct, by the way.
1,300 people.
I suppose we can assume Harm is capable of delivering on its threats.
Indeed, which means we have exactly 2 days to complete our objectives.
Can we have records and research find out if this Lester Cheems ever knew Felicity Farnsworth?
I suppose, although I can't see that it will prove anything.
You never know.
Well, I, for one, am reticent to implicate a respected public figure on the basis of mere coincidence.
You call it coincidence. I call it circumstantial evidence.
Knowing the victim of a crime hardly qualifies as circumstantial evidence.
That depends on the victim, the crime, and the circumstances, doesn't it?
Enough of this bickering. Send in Dr. Schenker, if you please. Ah, here you are. Thank you for joining us, Doctor. I hope your accommodations are adequate.
Exceptional, thank you. Hello again, Miss Archer.
Hello, Doctor.
I'm sorry there wasn't time to brief you sooner, but I imagine you've already heard about this morning's disaster.
I have.
Then I'm sure you can understand the need for alacrity in devising a plan of action. Harm has promised another attack within the next 48 hours unless we hand you over, which imposes a rather daunting deadline.
How can I help?
We need to know who Harm has infected with the reagent, and we need the antidote.
Unfortunately, I cannot help you with the first problem. I was never told how the reagent was being used or on whom. I'm afraid it would not make much difference, even if I had. I'm terrible with names, you see.
What about the antidote?
Ah, yes, that is also a problem. You see, the antidote is highly unstable and can therefore only be produced in a zero-gravity environment.
You mean outer space?
Quite so.
So in other words, Harm was lying about having the antidote.
Not true. They do have it.
So they stole it?
They developed it.
But how's that possible?
Harm has its own space program.
That's preposterous.
Not necessarily. A few weeks ago, the US branch reported an unscheduled rocket launch from a small tropical island off the coast of Mandaru.
Are you sure it wasn't the Soviets?
It's certainly possible, although we have plenty of spies in the Soviet Union and none could confirm a launch.
This is starting to sound like circumstantial evidence, Mr. Smith.
Agreed, but it's the only lead we have. If it is Harm, I certainly can't explain where the funding and materials are coming from. Maybe the Soviets are involved.
At the moment, all that matters is that we get our hands on that antidote.
Very well. Archer, your job will be to locate and infiltrate the launch facility and recover a sufficient quantity of the antidote for our purposes.
Assuming this is even the right place.
Yes.
Understood.
We'll give you a radio frequency to use in case you need to contact us. Your code name will be Foxhunt. Ours is Foxhound.
Did Bruno tell you that story?
Yes, he did.
What story?
When Archer was a girl, her father took her on a fox hunt. The fox got away.
Fascinating, but I fail to see the relevance.
In her other occupation, Archer was known as the Fox. As Bruno told it, you were so impressed with the fox's escape from such a dire predicament, you adopted it as a personal symbol. Is that right?
Something like that.
That sort of resourcefulness would certainly serve us well right about now.
What an amusing anecdote. Shall we take turns telling stories? Or shall we get back to the mission at hand?
When do I leave?
As soon as possible.
Let's just hope I find myself in harm's way, if you take my meaning.
If we're wrong about this, there will be hell to pay. Good luck, Archer. We're counting on you.
Just got word that the sub's delayed.
Good. We still haven't finished clearing out the last shipment. What's the ETA?
Probably around 9 p.m., maybe later.
I could use some overtime pay.
Don't count on it.
Well then, don't count on anybody being here.
I don't want to hear any excuses. We need to clear this freight out of here in the next 20 minutes. I'm telling you, that's not possible. Listen, the success of this operation hinges on secrecy. All it takes is one airliner pilot to look down and see all these bright orange crates sitting here, and we're finished. I understand that, but we've only got one helicopter. We're doing the best we can. Figure out a way to do better. Get us more helicopters. Oh, sure. Let me just go make a couple out of soda cans and popsicle sticks. Sarcasm.
Foxhunt calling Foxhound, over.
Go ahead, Foxhunt.
There are no antidote samples on the island. Repeat, no antidote samples.
Damn.
However, I think I may know where I can find one.
Where?
Outer space.
Please repeat. Over. I could have sworn you said outer space.
Aye, that's what I said. There's a rocket going up in half an hour. I plan to be aboard.
Negative. It's too risky.
You forgot to add, for a woman. Don't worry, I'll be fine. I'm not about to let thousands of people die because I was afraid to risk my neck.
Very well. Proceed as planned. Just be sure to come back in one piece.
Count on it.
Yes, sir? Hey, can you go check up on the crew of that rocket that just came in? They haven't disembarked yet, and they're not responding on the radio. Great. Probably another short circuit. That's what I'm thinking. I'd like to get my hands on the contractor that built this hunk of junk. Too late. We shot him out the airlock last month. What? How come I didn't know? It was a private ceremony. That's just plain selfish. Sorry. All right, I'll check out the rocket. Guess it isn't a short circuit. Hello? You guys okay in here?
Let's get the hell out of here! Wait for me!
You look tired.
I'm all right, sir.
We've asked a great deal of you on this assignment. Under normal circumstances, we'd have a team of agents collaborating on a situation like this.
Well, I wanted a challenge.
You've certainly got the right attitude. Gentlemen, what have you learned?
The antidote sample is viable.
Excellent. Is there enough for our purposes?
I should think so. Of course, it depends on how many people have been infected.
We need that list of names, and we need it before Harm sets another example.
Where's the Baroness now?
She and the Baron are on holiday at their chateau in the German Alps.
Then that's where I'm going.
Need I remind you that Harm's next victim will detonate less than 20 hours from now? That's assuming they don't retaliate for Agent Archer blowing up their space station.
Relax, Smithy. It'll take him that long to figure out what happened. I wrecked their communications, remember? Besides, a meteor shower blew up that station, not me.
Regardless, this hardly seems the time for wild goose chases.
Well, what do you recommend? Look, I know the Baroness is behind this mess, and I know she keeps that list of names close to her. She's not doing this just for the money. She wants to blow these people to bits. She wants revenge.
That's an amusing theory, but you'll excuse me if I'm not entirely convinced.
I don't care if you're convinced. I just want to know if you have a better idea.
Not at the moment.
Then let me do this. If you come up with something better, you can call me back. I won't argue.
That seems unlikely.
All I care about is getting that list of names before more innocent people die. I don't want to sit around here waiting for some blinding flash of insight, only to discover I was right all along and lives were lost because I didn't follow my instincts.
If you receive a signal from us, I expect you to drop everything and get in touch immediately. Am I understood?
You can count on it.
I hope you have a plan.
Sure I do. I'm going to get inside that chateau, find the list, and get out.
I see. And how exactly do you intend to do that?
I'll improvise.
Brilliant. Why didn't I think of that?
What about the fellow that's been keeping an eye on the Baroness for us?
He's just a spy. Some poor chap willing to risk his neck for a pittance and a bit of adventure.
Perfect. Have him meet me at my hotel when I arrive.
Are we really going to go through with this?
Yes, we are.
God save us all.
I'm bored out of my skull. It's so boring.
I never have any fun. What can you tell me?
Every afternoon she has lunch at a different cafe, then spends an hour or two window shopping. Afterwards, she rides the gondola back up the mountain.
Does she come alone or with an escort?
There are always plenty of dangerous-looking men with her.
What do you know about the chateau?
Only that you have to ride the gondola to get there. I've heard that there's a middle landing and you have to take another gondola up to the chateau itself.
Perfect. I have a mission for you, but I should warn you that it could be dangerous.
I'm not afraid.
Good. Sneak aboard the gondola and ride it up to the middle landing. Scout around and find out what you can. I'll meet up with you in 2 hours.
How will you find me?
Leave a sign. Marks in the snow should suffice.
Where are you going now?
I want to do some window shopping.
Hello, Baroness Dumas.
Any sign of trouble?
Well, McCoy got into a snowball fight with some kids and somebody hit him in the face. He got a bloody nose.
What's your name?
Hans Kirchner, at your service.
You're fired.
Huh? Why?
Because if I were to shoot you, it would cause a scene. You take over here. If anybody slips by you, I swear to God, I'll have you frappe.
Are you going on up to the chateau, Baroness Dumas?
Of course I am. You simpering oaf. Did you think I was planning to sit around and play pinochle with you idiots?
What did you find out?
The main gondola dock is heavily guarded. It would be suicide to go that way.
I'll have to risk it. There's no other choice.
Ah, but there is. A few miles from here, there's an old service gondola. They use it for supplies, mostly.
Brilliant. I guess I'm in for a bit of a hike.
Well, I noticed there's a guard post out past the frozen lake. There's a snowmobile sitting outside.
You've done well. What's your name?
Tom. What's wrong?
Nothing. Just reminds me of an old friend. Thank you, Tom.
Good luck.
Fox Hunt calling Fox Hound, over.
Go ahead, Fox Hunt.
Approaching target. Outlook good, over.
Excellent news. Proceed as planned. Support standing by. We'll await your signal. Over.
Understood. Over and out.
All right, look her up.
Maybe we should throw her off a cliff.
Did I ask for your opinion?
No, but I was just thinking.
Oh, you were you?
Yes, I think keeping her alive is a bad idea.
Is that so?
You know how in spy shows the hero always gets away? Well, that just sets a considerable precedent, don't you think? Sure, it's just television shows, but it still makes me nervous.
Take a look at her.
Excuse me?
I said look at her. You want to murder her?
I don't want to. It just seems prudent.
Prudent, eh?
If you don't mind my saying so, you seem rather moralistic for a man who earns his living as a criminal. We've already killed thousands of people. What's one more?
It wasn't me that killed them.
You work for the organization that did. Doesn't that implicate you as well?
They didn't ask me what I thought about it.
Perhaps not, but you knew there was a possibility that such things could happen.
Okay, maybe you're right. But that doesn't mean I want this girl's blood on my hands. Truth be told, I'd sooner kill you than her.
Then I'll stop trying to convince you to throw her off the cliff.
That's prudent of you.
I must confess, I haven't been able to sleep since that explosion in England.
Me neither, lad.
Can I ask you a question? What would you do if I began walking towards a gondola dock with the intention of leaving this organization?
I might give you a piece of advice.
What would that be?
Don't get yourself killed.
The thought had occurred to me.
I don't want any interruptions.
Yes, ma'am.
Wake up, princess. So, this is the indomitable Kate Archer, super spy. I hope Armstrong wasn't too rough with you, dear. I'm not sure whether it's his Scottish blood or his peasant heritage, but he's rather lacking in social polish. Oh, but you're Scottish too, aren't you? Ah, how insensitive.
Baroness Dumas, you're not what I expected.
Is that so? Sorry if I'm a disappointment.
Not at all. Quite the opposite, in fact. Meeting your husband didn't lead me to expect much of the woman who'd choose to marry him.
Oh, yes, my husband. He's a child in the body of a man. A rather large man. All I have to do is play mommy every once in a while, and I get to spend his money any way I please. And he has plenty of money to spend. But enough about my vocation. Let's talk about yours.
Your vocation? But I thought you were working for harm.
Harm works for me, darling.
I'm impressed. Not bad for a little orphan girl who went from princess to pauper. It takes a great deal of conviction to overcome adversity the way you have, or a great deal of hatred.
A little of both, actually. I wouldn't have expected such insight from someone like you.
Well, perhaps you don't know as much about me as you think.
I know enough. A girl spy in a man's world? That takes gall, surely. That you've been such a damnable nuisance speaks highly of your talents. But the fact that you're my prisoner suggests that you overestimate yourself. Just a bit. Little girl who thinks she can take on the world.
Is that so different from a little girl that thinks she can take over the world?
Well, we're both ambitious.
Too bad your ambition is so petty.
Is that what you think?
You might have done great things. Instead, look what you've settled for. Exacting revenge on people who remind you of those snobs that ostracized you and your mom after that nasty business with your father.
You call it revenge? I call it house cleaning.
House cleaning?
That's right. Every one of these smug blue bloods I scrub out makes the world a little cleaner. As far as I'm concerned, they're lint.
Excuse me, Baroness.
I said no interruptions! Somebody shoot this man! Where were we? Ah, yes. You were moralizing. Next, I suppose you'll tell me that I can't possibly succeed.
Not if I have anything to do with it.
You certainly have spirit. Unfortunately, you won't have anything to do with it. Not unless you can rise from the grave, that is. Are you afraid to die?
I haven't given it much thought.
Thanks to the incompetence of the insufferable Inga Wagner, you still have some time for reflection. My instructions were to give you a 10-hour fuse, but that bloated moron gave you 10 days, which leaves you roughly 45 minutes to live.
I've been infected. At the club, that dart that hit my neck.
Yes, and if it weren't for Fräulein Wagner's mind-numbing ineptitude, you'd already be dead.
You get what you pay for.
Isn't that the truth? You have no idea how hard it is to find qualified criminals these days. Nothing but misfits, mutants.
I hope you don't expect sympathy.
Not from a judgmental goody-two-shoes like you. To you, I'm just a villain. Those pretty eyes of yours see only black and white. Well, sister, the world is a crueler mistress than I. Believe me, I would have gladly kept my dollhouses and fairy tales rather than suffering through what I did. But I didn't have a choice in the matter.
You had a choice. You were just too weak to make the right one.
You don't know anything about me, girl. You don't know what I went through. Those genteel bastards disowned my mother and me before the headlines even hit the papers. Now I'm going to show my gratitude by raining fire and destruction down upon their pedigree heads.
Poor Felicity. The world spat upon her, so now she's going to show them all. Is that it?
I didn't give you permission to use my Christian name.
We've more in common than I like to admit. The difference is that I stopped taking my misfortunes personally. Everybody suffers, Baroness, but only cowards take it out on other people.
Well, aren't you a righteous little bitch? Maybe it will get you into heaven. I suppose you'll find out soon enough. Get Armstrong up here. I want someone competent guarding this door.
That's not a very nice thing to say.
Is that so? Well, after you fetch him, how would you like to take yourself outside and have yourself shot? That'll give you something to complain about.
Looks like you got yourself in a heap of trouble this time, eh, lass?
How about a fight?
What are you yapping about?
A fight, you and me, mano a mano.
You're challenging me to a fight?
If I win, you let me go.
And if I win?
I'm already at your mercy. Are you a sportsman or a bully?
As entertaining as it sounds, I'm not about to stake my reputation as a master criminal on a dare from a wee little girl.
Coward.
Are you trying to provoke me?
You're just afraid I'd clobber you.
Ha! I'd be more afraid of an angry chipmunk.
I always figured you for a sissy.
I dare you to say that again.
Maybe you should trade your kilt for a skirt.
Maybe you should shut your damn cake hole before I put my fist in it.
I'd clobber you, but I hate being cruel to animals.
Then I guess a kiss is out of the question, eh?
Oh, that's right. I forgot you don't like girls.
Say that again and I'll wash your mouth out with soap.
I'd smack the crap out of you if I didn't think it'd bury us both.
You're a feisty little wench, aren't you? That's it! You pushed me too far, girlie! I'll be damned! Walloped by a girl!
So, do you intend to keep your word and let me go? Or do I need to pummel you some more?
I may be a villain, but I'm not a liar. A promise is a promise.
What about you?
Time to look for a new job, I suppose. I'm definitely not sticking around here to discuss your escape with the Baroness.
Maybe you should consider a legitimate career next time.
My skill set is a bit too, specialised for legitimate work. Don't you worry about me, I'll make do.
I owe you.
That you do, and don't forget it either.
Can I ask one more favour of you?
You can ask.
The list of names. Where does the Baroness keep it?
Sorry, I can't help you.
Do you have any idea how many innocent people will die if the Baroness isn't stopped?
What do I care?
Don't give me that. Imagine some crazy woman with a chip on her shoulder blew up your mum. How would that make you feel?
My mum's already dead.
Answer my question, you big ox, or I'll pummel you so bad you'll be picking your own teeth out of your arse.
Okay, fine, I'd be sad. Is that what you want to hear? I might even cry like a ninny. Are you happy now?
Just think about all the people that'll lose their mums and their sons and their wives, all because some power-mad Baroness had a bad childhood. You want that on your conscience?
All right, enough, fine. As far as I know, she keeps the bloody thing in a safe in her underground lair. There's an elevator behind a woodpile downstairs. You're a resourceful lass, you'll figure it out.
Yes, ma'am.
Do I even need to mention that I don't want to be interrupted?
No, ma'am.
Good.
The girl is gone.
I should have had her shot.
Yes, you should have.
Well, no matter. She'll be dead soon enough.
Wrong. She got the antidote.
She's resourceful, all right.
I'll find her.
There isn't much time. Less than an hour.
More than enough. Just be sure not to leave without me.
I wouldn't dream of it. What about Armstrong?
Vanished.
Kill him too while you're at it.
That's unexpected.
You meddlesome imp. Guards, kill her!
Be on the lookout for Archer. Yes, sir. Battle station, we are under attack. All copy breaks are hereby postponed until the threat has been neutralized.
Oh, man.
Finally, some excitement.
Agent Archer, good to see you. Head for the helicopter in the courtyard. We'll cover you.
All right, but make sure you're off this mountain in the next 15 minutes.
Why?
There's going to be a very large explosion.
Out of curiosity, who's got Agent Archer? I thought you had it. I don't have her either. Damn it all to hell. Should we head back? Well, the objective of our mission was to rescue her. Good God! Do you think Agent Archer is okay? Not bloody likely. How are we going to explain this to Command?
You have proved to be an interesting adversary, Miss Archer. I've never had the chance to compete with a woman in a professional capacity. The experience has been an amusing one.
Good. Then you can go to your grave happy.
Perhaps. But I deem your mortality a far more immediate concern. Hand over the list, and I will kill you swiftly.
How generous of you.
I am not a man to trifle with. I've been perfecting methods of torture since before you were born. It would grieve me to have to demonstrate my skills on such a lovely creature as yourself.
Are you threatening me or attempting to seduce me?
I try never to get involved with women who want to kill me.
Wise policy.
Live and learn.
Well, you'll not get this list in any case.
That is where you are mistaken.
Goodbye, Dimitri. Mr. Jones, please.
Whom may I say is calling?
Kate Archer.
One moment.
Archer, you're alive?
I suppose I am.
There was a report that you'd been killed in an explosion.
Oh, that? No, I survived.
Did you get the list?
I expect a telegram within the hour.
This is excellent news. Are you all right?
I'm fine. Maybe a wee bit tired. Nothing a nap and a sip of scotch won't clear up.
Well, let me know the moment you arrive.
Okay, see you soon.
She's got the list.
Unbelievable.
Miss Kavanaugh, please alert cryptography that Agent Archer will be sending an encoded message within the hour. This is top priority.
Don't congratulate yourself yet, Ms. Archer. You've won nothing.
Yes, well, you've lost everything. Again.
Not true, Agent Archer. I still have the satisfaction of knowing that you have failed.
But I haven't. We have Dr. Schenker, we have the antidote, and most importantly, we have the names of your intended victims.
You still have to deliver the list.
Which I shall, just as I shall deliver you to prison where you can accustom yourself to a slightly less opulent lifestyle.
Ah, what a sweet fantasy. But it's not meant to be, I'm afraid. Know this, little girl. Harm does not die with me.
I think you'll survive your wounds.
It's not my wounds you should be worried about. Pardon me.
I've got to get everybody off the streets. Poor, pathetic creature.
Ah, Miss Archer. I trust you're recuperating suitably?
Quite so, Mr. Jones. Thank you for the champagne.
It's a tradition I began back in the war, to reward my boys for a mission well done. It pays to have friends in the supply department.
So, does that mean I'm one of the boys?
I suppose it does. Figuratively speaking, of course.
Of course.
Miss Archer, I realize I have been somewhat abrasive during this ordeal.
You've been a belligerent oaf.
I hope you can understand that I take our collective purpose very seriously. Although I was highly skeptical of a woman's ability to handle this mission, I am overjoyed to have been proved wrong. You have gone above and beyond the call of duty in this matter, for which we are all indebted to you.
I wish we could offer you a proper vacation, but until Unity is full strength again, I'm afraid we can't afford to let you rest.
Thank you, sir, but I've waited a long time for a chance like this. I wouldn't dream of going on vacation now.
That's the spirit. Well, I'm going to go home and see if my wife remembers me. See you both tomorrow.
I'd best be going too. I haven't bathed in 3 days. I imagine I'm a bit ripe.
Is this how it ends, then?
How what ends?
Saving the world. That's what we did, right?
Yes, that is what we did.
Is it always like this? Weary farewells and shuffling off home for a hot bath and a good night's sleep?
A good night's sleep if you're lucky.
Yes, Agent Archer. It is always like this. Saving the world is our job, you see. If we do it properly, nobody even knows the world is in jeopardy to begin with. Not a lot of fanfare, I suppose. Just the satisfaction of a job well done.
An important job.
I like to think so. Good night, Agent Archer. Good night, Mr. Smith.
Good night.
You were right. Last night I slept peacefully for the first time since my father died.
How touching.
Tom?
You owe me more than you can imagine, Ms. Archer.
I thought you...
You have no idea what I put myself through, and I'm not gonna get a dime for it thanks to you.
You're the traitor.
Hey, I'm not proud of what I did, but I was gonna get a handsome paycheck as compensation. A very handsome paycheck. Unfortunately, you had to go and blow up my benefactor.
Money? You betrayed the entire free world for money?
Spare me the self-righteousness. Everybody has a price. Even you.
You don't know anything about me.
Maybe not, but I've been in this business long enough to see what people are capable of. Anybody can talk about honor and patriotism, but those are just pretty words. When the money's on the table, the right amount of money, you'd be surprised how quickly you can change your tune.
Do you honestly believe that?
Of course I do. You know what a spy is? It's just some ordinary Joe who's willing to risk his life to sell out his country for a few measly bucks. We rely on these people. That's where most of our information comes from. The difference between them and us, other than our training as operatives, of course, is a price tag. Mine just happened to be about 100 times as much money. And now I get nothing thanks to you.
You're forgetting something, Tom. Those spies we recruit aren't patriots, they're cowards. We seek out selfish, hateful little people who place themselves above everyone else. We choose them because they're weak and greedy and arrogant, like you.
Touché.
Don't you understand what you did? People died because of you. Bruno died because of you.
Hey, Volkov killed him, not me. All I did was supply some information. I'm not responsible for how that information was used.
We'll see what the court thinks about that.
I didn't come here to surrender.
Pity for you. Drop your gun.
Or what? Are you gonna shoot me in cold blood?
If I have to.
That's mighty tough talk for a little girl.
Mr. Smith, what are you doing here?
tending to some unfinished business.
Mr. Jones?
Are you all right, Miss Archer?
Aye. What's going on?
There's your traitor.
You mean Smithy?
How long have you known?
I've suspected you for some time. You've only just now confirmed my suspicions.
All this time you thought he might be a traitor?
Indeed, but I had to be sure.
You might have warned Bruno.
He did.
Bruno?
Look out!
Everyone okay?
Good shooting, Archer.
But what about Tom?
Tom Goodman died in Amsterdam.
What? But I thought...
The man you knew as Tom Goodman was an imposter. His real name was Melvin Blitzney. He's a former vacuum cleaner salesman from Akron, Ohio.
I don't understand.
It's quite simple. 7 years ago, Mr. Jones took Smithy off the active list due to his increasingly inadequate performance in the field. Mandatory retirement came as a great blow. Smithy, like many operatives, thought of himself as a man of action. He viewed his reassignment into the role of an administrator as an insult to his virility. He kept his dissatisfaction to himself, secretly plotting to discredit Jones and, in the process, line his own pockets. To this end, he recruited Melvin Blitzney, who underwent plastic surgery, extensive training, and months of voice lessons in order to become Tom Goodman, for whom Smithy, meanwhile, laid a deadly trap in Amsterdam.
How did Smithy hook up with a vacuum cleaner salesman from Ohio?
Apparently, they met in a bar in Florida on one of Smithy's last assignments. Anyhow, with Goodman out of the way and no one any the wiser, Smithy launched the next phase of his scheme, which was to nurture a relationship with an up-and-coming terrorist organization. He chose harm. His plan was to create an international incident of staggering proportions and simultaneously cripple Unity so that we would have no choice but to capitulate. Such an unmitigated failure would force Mr. Jones to step down, giving Smithy control of Unity and also a handsome payoff in a secret bank account in Zurich.
But what about Morocco?
It was a trap meant to snare us both. Mr. Jones and I agreed that it would serve as a perfect opportunity for me to disappear for a while.
You might have warned me, you know.
We couldn't risk tipping our hand.
You mean you didn't think I could keep a secret?
Keeping a secret wasn't enough. Smithy had to believe I was dead, which meant that you had to believe it as well. I'm truly sorry, Kate.
Oh, you will be. But there are still some things I don't understand. Smithy was extremely forthcoming with information for someone who wanted us to fail.
Every mission he sent you on was a trap. Eventually it occurred to him that you were far more competent than he had anticipated, but it was already too late by then. You'd outwitted him. Besides, if he'd attempted to conceal information, he would have drawn suspicion to himself, which he couldn't afford.
But why did Tom, or Melvin, whatever his name is, blow up the cargo freighter?
To get rid of you, of course.
But Inga Wagner and Magnus Armstrong were aboard the ship.
They were expendable.
If you knew all this, why didn't you just arrest Smithy and be done with it?
Because we didn't know all this until very recently. Your investigations revealed much of the information we needed. But the final piece of the puzzle fell into place yesterday afternoon, when I found this in Smithy's flat.
The puppet?
Indeed.
Unbelievable.
I'm sorry I had to deceive you, Kate.
Sorry's not good enough. Do you have any idea how devastated I was?
I should leave you two alone. I'm sure you've plenty of catching up to do.
You certainly looked sad.
What do you mean?
Well, I was watching when you came to pay your respects.
You were spying on me?
Not intentionally.
I ought to kill you myself. Who's buried here anyway?
No one. It's an empty casket.
An empty casket?
Calm down.
Don't run away from me. Come back and take what's coming to you.
Kate, please. You're overreacting.
I'll show you overreacting, you bastard. This is the life. No harm, no unity, and no objectives except rest and relaxation.
If I catch you, you'll be today's special.
Harm? What's going on here?
Hey, Murray, break's over. Get back to work.
What's the rush? We need to get this shipment to the facility, and you've been sitting around all afternoon.
Our paychecks are 2 weeks late. I'll put some hustle into it when I see some money.
Boss said that's just a temporary payroll glitch. Now come on. I can't do this by myself.
As much as I dislike writing up reprimands, you forced me to do just that.
What now?
The backup lava diversion system was down for 13.6 seconds this morning.
So?
So, if the backup system is impeded, the primary system could malfunction.
Which means?
Which means we'll all melt, you idiot! Geez, who hired you?
You did, sir.
Monkey needs a good spanking. Come back here, little monkey.
strike me thunder. Let me get closer to them. Please strike me thunder.